going to pick up where we left off actually from Sunday. This is our 9th week. We're in a time when we're winding up this campaign. I've heard about all the families with children and youth and young adults too that have really enjoyed the harmonized teaches all the way through with same themes, characters, all this kind of stuff, right?
Yeah, it's been good.
It has been good.
Yeah.
And now we are going to work something that we talked about yesterday a little bit deeper, right?
Yeah.
Daniel was a guy that served 3 kings and saw an empire change, which is rare in history, actually. Mm-hmm. And to have a world empire change, he went through that. In fact, was a part of that.
Yeah.
And so on. So a huge point in time in history. God used him amazingly. And we're going to pull a verse and kind of say, this really kind of typifies how this guy always did no matter what the conditions of life, right? Mm-hmm. In Daniel 6:28 it says, so Daniel prospered during the reign of Darius and the reign of Cyrus the Persian. Right. So those are co-rulers, two groups that had come together for the world empire.
Yeah.
So what we see here is that word prospered. Mm-hmm. This guy, he prospered whether he was a prisoner of war.
Yeah.
He prospered whether he was thrown in a place where his life was going to be taken.
Yeah.
This is what he always did. Yes. And it's not prospered in the sense of like money or position. That's not what we're saying for, those things, even though he had those things brought to him.
Yeah.
This is a fuller expression of prosper. This is the idea of prospering, that his life was hitting the mark.
That's right.
His life was really a full expression of what God was wanting to do and doing in those days.
Yes.
He was right hand with God.
Yeah.
He wasn't right hand with these kings. I think a way to look at it would be that he was right hand with God.
Yeah.
And he was prospering because of that. Mm-hmm. Now this word purpose.
Yeah.
This is one that we dove in on Sunday, but we talked a bit about this. And how it's such a false way to go at it, to start with us in the middle of the stage.
What is my purpose? What is the purpose of my life, God? And I think in Christian circles, like purpose is a pretty big topic, right? Yes. I know for me, it's been like, I don't want to miss God's purpose for my life.
Exactly,
And good heart to start from, but maybe the wrong viewpoint.
Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Well, and a lot of times when we talk about purpose, it's a lot of times it's us focused. So what are we going to be? What are we going to do? What big thing am I going to be part of? These are all things that run through our minds when we think of our purpose with God. And it's almost drilled into us in our, kind of filtering through society with it as well, what our purpose is. There's a filtration from society into what our purpose should be that becomes that.
You're very good. And that's where purpose has gone askew in different ways, right? And it's been more of a me pursuit and defining me. And so immediately when we do that, we look at our strongest roles.
Yes, we do.
Right?
Yeah.
So my strongest role is my profession. Yeah. My strongest role is my money in the bank. My strongest role is, fill in the blank, right? So whatever you consider your strongest role, that's usually what you're going to drive across to purpose, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So if I would say my purpose is to be a pastor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But somehow all of those things fall short.
Right. If we're taking this lens and looking at Daniel's life, what would we say was he would say is my greatest purpose? Was it, when he was a 15-year-old captive? Was it when he was interpreting king's dreams? Yeah. Was it when he was in the lion's den? What role would Daniel say was my big purpose, right?
Yeah.
I mean, when we're reading this book, we know that can't be the right lens to look through because his influence was so strong through every season of his life.
Well, I think if we look at it through that lens, I think we actually minimize who we are with God. I think we actually we can actually take what God has for us and we can actually put it into a box. And we were never meant as children of God to be put in a box because he flows through us. I think then our purpose becomes we focus so much on that and we put all this time and effort into what we think our purpose is, we miss the big picture.
That's good stuff, ladies. Like that, and so what Daniel really did with this, he didn't, and we can see it as he played it out. What Daniel really looked at purpose differently. He didn't really look at purpose through a role. Rather, he looked at purpose through really something in his relationship with God that he felt was his way of fulfilling the purpose, whatever it was. And it was one key word, obedience.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
So whether it was obedience to, I'm not going to eat these meats, or I'm not going to do this idol, thing, confusion for me. It's done. I'm not doing that. Whatever it was always this obedience factor in every challenge that he had.
That's right.
And this is how you discover purpose truly as a believer.
Yes.
Is obedience. And by the way, I got to throw this in there, that even if you're not a believer, you can discover what your purpose is to see what you're obedient to.
Right. Oh, yeah, absolutely. That's a great point.
Right?
Yeah, hugely.
But as believers, we certainly need to understand the role of obedience in discovering, wrong word, in actually living out the purpose.
Right.
Without even recognizing it all the time.
Absolutely. I think that's a huge part of it, is we might not know exactly what our obedience is fulfilling, but we have to trust in God's plan and God's purpose, and that it is being fulfilled through our obedience. Our piece of the puzzle is adding something to this overall tapestry that is God's great purpose. It just has to be a different viewpoint for us, rather than us focusing on our time on earth. It's to look at the big picture through God's eyes and know that we are playing a role in that, whatever that is. When we are being obedient consistently to God, we are connecting to his heart. We are connecting to his love, and we are a part of this picture.
It's true.
And that word's actually really dear to me, because for many seasons, God just kept saying that to me, that he wanted my obedience. And, just in the growing time in my life. And so when I hear the word obedience, it doesn't actually mean something negative to me. It actually brings relief, to be truthful. It actually means that he was telling me what he was asking me to do, and I felt like, okay, God, you have this, and it's not about me. That's how I felt.
That's how it is with obedience. With Daniel too. You look at this just for a minute and you think, okay, well, there's people who would say, well, the purpose of God is to worship God.
Yeah.
But you can't worship God without first having this obedience.
Right.
Because Daniel, every time, had to make the choice whether he was going to obey his God, and that was the highest form of worship, and protecting, and it made the worship actual genuine. There were others that said, oh, the meat's wine, no problem, it's offered to idols, hey, chill out. And stuff, and for them, the obedience meter wasn't very high.
That's right.
And for them, they could compromise this worship aspect. So even, you must understand, obedience is kind of the acid test of the heart.
Yeah, that's right.
It's the acid test of your heart.
Yeah.
And that's how you discover purpose.
Yeah, his obedience cost him very much so in the worldly realm. There was a huge amount of sacrifice that went into his obedience at different times. But it was because of his great love for God, and because he knew God loved him.
Absolutely.
That he knew this was worth it, and that was that genuine, ability for genuine worship was this. He showed God time and time again. He's practiced it in his obedience. God knows his heart, and he knows he's a child of God.
He saw the big picture.
Yeah.
It wasn't just about him. It was about the whole package.
Let's go to the stage.
Yes.
Let's go to the stage. Let's talk about the stage, because that's a great picture.
Yeah, it is, right? The visual package of everything, and not just yourself.
Take a stage. Put yourself on the stage. Now write your script.
Yeah.
That's how we usually think we need to go about purpose.
Yeah.
That's right.
But that's not actually how it works. So actually, it's God's stage, not yours.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And he's the director,
Yeah.
Yeah.
producer,
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
He's doing the whole deal. And he's going to say, I really have this great place for you. Oh, by the way, it's at the back with the crowd over
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
And in our mind, this doesn't work for big purpose.
No.
That's right.
Our
Yeah.
pride says, no, that's
Yeah.
not where I belong.
This is a demotion. Yeah. How could I be fulfilling God's purpose
Yeah.
back there?
Because we're disconnecting from the picture itself.
That's right.
We're disconnecting
Yes.
from the movie
are.
itself. We're part of the big story.
Yeah.
See, the whole thing is about the story.
Yeah.
That's right.
And it's his story.
Yeah.
And so when we take a look at purpose, our own script writing is going to put us out of whack.
That's right.
Yes.
And it's going to take us out of his story, and
Yeah.
you're going to write your own little stage play.
Yeah. You're
Big deal.
You're not even on a stage anymore.
You get one little
Yeah.
slice
Yeah.
of time and space, and you want to write your own little story.
Yeah.
Or do you want to be a part of the eternal big production
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
where you just be obedient? And he says, through that obedience, I can make you a really darn good extra.
Yeah. And that's a beautiful thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
And why it's a beautiful thing is because you and I get to be part of the big deal.
Yes.
So which stage do you want, right? It's a big question.
It is.
Purpose. Jesus said, you want to be great in my kingdom,
Be a servant.
become the servant
Yeah.
of all.
Yeah.
A servant is obedient. He tells stories about this. What servant comes in and tells the master to make food for him,
Yeah.
right? He just,
Yeah.
it's
Obedience.
obedience. You think about that. You want to be great in his kingdom, in his story? It seems to be that it's the extras, the ones that are obedient to the heart to say,
Yeah.
if that's where you want me, I'm happy.
Yeah.
I will be obedient.
Yeah.
And you might think, is this where he wants me? Just obey. And he'll put you where he wants you, and he'll take you where he
Yeah.
wants to.
That's right.
It's huge.
It's huge. Really simplifies things, not that it's simple, but it simplifies things from, all these questions to just, am I being obedient?
Yeah. In Daniel, it says that he prospered. So that prospered, God takes that obedience and he goes, whatever that prosper means for him, for your life, God will prosper you for his glory. And that's a beautiful thing.
You know why obedience, we know, is the core of this whole deal? As I said, it's the acid test. Is because whenever anybody says the word obey, we have a visceral reaction to that
Yeah,
word.
absolutely.
Yeah, it definitely rubs up against your pride and
Yep.
selfishness and
like,
it's
You want me to what?
yeah.
Because we live with it in a law sense.
Yeah.
Yes.
God lives with it in a heart sense.
Yes.
Yeah.
And obedience from the heart is everything.
Yeah.
It's what makes you great in his kingdom. It's what lets him write your script.
Yeah.
He's already scripted you in.
Yeah.
You might be one little thing within the big fabric of what he's making. It's not about you finding that one little
Yeah.
thing and discovering
Yeah.
purpose in your own beginning and end.
That's right.
It's you looking at the whole thing and saying, I got to be a part of.
It's,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, he wrote the script,
It's amazing.
does.
so he gets to place me where he wants.
And that's obedience.
Yeah.
Only obedience brings about God's purpose in your life. It's as simple as that.